Hello, I think that should get me here. Yeah, welcome to the this week's History Chats with the Marathon County Historical Society, our weekly session where we talk about some interesting aspects of Marathon County history at the middle of the day on Thursdays. I'm Ben Clark, by the way. I don't know if I've ever introduced myself, but I'm the archivist here and helping with some of the technical stuff. In a moment, we're going to go to Gary Gisselman, who's going to be telling us a little bit about this week, some of the, to kind of wrap up the school history here in Marathon County. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the other post-secondary schools, technical school, vocational business school, things like that. Just before we do that though, just a reminder, we are going to have some time at the end for some discussion. If you have any questions, comments, as we're kind of wrapping up the discussion about schools. If you have any other last minute school questions, this is the time to put those in there, and we will do our best to answer them. So that, again, that'd be about 10-15 minutes or so after Gary is done. And with that, we'll have Gary unmute and join us and tell us a little bit about that history. Oh, I need to do this. Let's forget that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ben. Welcome this afternoon. As Ben said, we're sort of at this session today, sort of winding up our histories of schools throughout Marathon County and Wasa. We're starting and we're concluding today with two schools that we have not as yet talked about. The Wausau Business College, a small business school in downtown Wasa for many years, and also the vocational school as we have known it through the years. We'll start with the Wausau Business College, founded in 1886. This is just sort of a little bit of a prelude to our PowerPoint by Mr. Horton, later a variety of owners in a variety of spaces in downtown Wasa. In 1900, for instance, this little business college was at 511 3rd Street. In 1906, however, Mr. E.D. Widmer became sole proprietor of the Wausau Business College. And it was Mr. Widmer that really rode the Wausau Business College throughout its whole existence, beginning in 1906. Mr. Widmer was born in Vernon County, graduated from Stevens Point Normal in 1904, came up to Wasa in 1906, and he became, like I said, the sole proprietor of the Wausau Business College. He was also a member of the Wasa City Council, member of the Marathon County Board of Supervisors, and he closed his business institute in 1943. He eventually would move to New Jersey, where he would die in 1963. But he had a great devotion to this Wausau Business College. Like I said, this is one of his early advertisements. You can see that this must have been before 1906. His address is at 112 Scott Street when he was moving around in downtown Wasa. But he wanted to establish a first degree business college in the city. And he went on to do that. He bought this building on the corner of Washington Street and 2nd Street in 1906. This is where it was sort of, the bottom is being 3rd Street, some of the stores in pink on 3rd Street. Moving down towards 2nd Street, he was on the corner there of 2nd and 2nd and Washington Streets, pretty much where the mall is today, if you want to get some kind of a direction to where that is today. But he had this college, this school. It talked about shorthand, typewriting, stenography, commercial law, bookkeeping. This was his faculty in the 1920s. He brought a substantial faculty for and a substantial student body even in the 1920s. So he was teaching a variety of different classes and a variety of different subjects here in downtown Wasa at the Wausau Business. Remember that at this time, Wausau Businesses was really starting to grow. Beginning in 1900, a lot of retail, a lot of commercial businesses needed exactly these folks that would be dealing with bookkeeping, with shorthand, stenography, a variety of the business classes to feed into a lot of the retail and commercial businesses in downtown Wausau at this time. So he was, this is another ad of Mr. Widmer a little bit later on. He's saying that this is a good opportunity. Wausau Business College, up-to-date courses in business and providing the jobs really that will be, that the Wausau community is starting to need. And it wasn't just the Wausau community, but he did attract a lot of people from throughout northern and central Wisconsin. So a very busy place in downtown Wausau. But it wasn't just I present this photo because in addition to the coursework, of course, he did have a little bit of a band. He did provide extracurricular activities for the students there at the Wausau Business College. And I think a little bit, sort of in summary of a little bit of the types of young people that he was having. This article in the Record Herald, a large number of young people attended the party given by the students of the Wausau Business College at Elks Hall last evening. A merry evening was spent in a favorite pastime, dancing. So he did present a social culture. He did present a culture to rising students at the Wausau Business College. I then want to move on to the other large story in Wausau and Marathon County of the vocational schools. Just a little bit of a timeline. In 1911, the Wisconsin legislation authorized vocational training on the local level. So in the following year, 1912, the Wausau Industrial School was founded by the Wausau School Board. So in the early days of a vocational or industrial school, it was run by the Wausau School Board. They had the jurisdiction over the vocational school. But by 1920, the vocational school separated from the school board and having its own governance. In 1921, we can see that they were having classes throughout the city, wherever they could find classrooms. One of the homes of the Wausau Vocational School was the Central School, and later to be called the Horace Mann Junior High. So this was until they have their own facility, which we'll talk about in a minute. A variety of different schools were hosting the vocational school classes in downtown Wausau. I want to mention also and show just a person that was really influential in the development and growth of the Wausau vocational school system was Lawrence Hoyt, born in Washington State, moved to Wisconsin with his family, graduated from New Auburn, Wisconsin High School, 1934, graduated from Stout State University, then came to Wasa, joined the faculty of the vocational school as a drafting instructor, and then taking a variety of advancements through the years. But by 1951, he was named director. And thus he became a leader, really, in the state of Wisconsin with regard to creating the Wisconsin technical system in the 1960s, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And he retired from the Wasa, what was then the Northcentral Technical College, in 1977. So the movement of the vocational school took different places, like I said. And in 1949, they finally found their own home. they moved into the old Marathon Electric site on River Drive. You may recognize this. We're looking southwest. The railroad tracks coming up here. The river, the Wisconsin River, is right behind this facility. And this is a map of the pink on the south. On your down on the left would be the Technical Institute. You can see the bridges. You can see the north on top of this map is Washington Street and a variety of other buildings. But this is where the home for many years was the Technical Institute. Marathon Electric would eventually move to their new home on the northwest side of Wasa, where they currently are today. But like all the schools, they have their own newspaper, the Wausau School of Adult and Vocational Education, very popular school, large enrollment at evening school, having a good time. You know, what the vocational school did, as well as what the business school did, is where they really tried to provide a lot of social interaction with their students. It was a very popular place to go. Again, at this time, Wasa is providing the Wausau Business College, the Wausau School of Adult and Vocational Education, the normal school. So we had a lot of different things going for us, and a large attraction to the young people wanting a larger education beyond the high school. So this is their home. They built onto the Marathon Electric building, and this became their home on River Drive for quite a while. In 1959, the name was changed from the Wausau Vocational School to the Wausau Technical Institute, again on this at this building on River Drive. However, there was a variety of different changes. In 1966, Marathon County assumed control of vocational education. The name was changed to Marathon County Technical Institute. But then soon within the 1960s, things really started to change. The Wisconsin legislature decided to put a variety of those vocational schools into districts. Wausau Marathon County was put into District 15 of the vocational districts throughout the state of Wisconsin. So, so in 1966, in the middle of the 1960s, the new facilities thus started to become known. The Marathon County Technical Institute, groundbreaking ceremonies in June 1st on the northwest side of Wasa. So then the district has then been enlarged to include Langley County, the southern half of Lincoln County, portions of Clark and Shawano counties. The name change to Northcentral Technical Institute was formally approved by the State Vocational Board earlier this spring. So now we have this Wausau and Marathon County Vocational School becoming part of a larger statewide system of vocational schools. And the new school, the new technical school, was built up on the northwest side of town off of Schofield, what was then Schofield Avenue. That Schofield was changed, Schofield Avenue was changed to Campus Drive. And again, a much larger facility, service building, industrial center, business academic center, a resource center, a library. So much larger facility, now serving the whole district as opposed to just Wausau or Marathon County. And this is the new shape of the Northcentral Technical Institute that we know. The new complex dedicated in 1969. So that I wanted to end it there, because I think that the story of the Northcentral, let me just back up, of the Northcentral Technical Institute from here on is much larger expansions through the years. eventually the change from the Northcentral Technical Institute to Northcentral Technical College, growth, tremendous growth in a variety of different programs through a variety of different presidents of this college, but all again part of a statewide system. But the history of Wausau, Marathon County vocational and technical schools are over 100 years old. And I think that that's somewhat one of the histories that we should cherish and continue to cherish as part of our Wasa and Marathon County schools. So with that, I conclude this session. And next week, Ben will continue on with our history chats with a history of medicine in Marathon County. And maybe Ben wants to, again, further talk a little bit about what he has in store for the next few weeks of history chats. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so as Gary mentioned, next week, we're gonna do something a little different and some of the medical stuff. So we are going to be doing spend about 3 weeks. We're gonna talk about the early pioneer medicine and the ticket hospitals, and then talk about the modern hospitals of Marathon County, from St. Mary's and Memorial, Wasa Hospital, South and North, or North and South, I suppose, to Aspirus. And then the third week, we're going to talk about the county health buildings, the asylum, the poorhouse, the sanitarium, all of those sort of buildings that I know there's always a lot of interest in. People always want to know about them. So we're happy to be able to share some of that. I think it should be pretty interesting. And then just so you know, we have kind of discussed here after that, we are going to go into people you should know, which is going to be kind of an interesting framing way to talk about some interesting things. We're going to talk about, who should you know from Marathon County history? So that'll be kind of a fun way to do that as well. But we are still planning, next year's sort of the subjects that we want to do. So again, invite everybody to, if you have a topic that you're really interested in or you want us to cover, do let us know. We'd be interested in getting that feedback. And while I'm talking about what's coming up, in just 2 days now, this weekend on Saturday, Brett Barker is going to be talking about the Lincoln Douglas debates as part of our History Speaks on the Air. And so that'll be a great, discussion about, Brett is very knowledgeable about that sort of Civil War era history. So we're excited to have him join us to talk about that. So that again is Saturday, 2 days from now at 2 o'clock, same place you're watching this right now. And then later this month, Kathy Volkman will be talking about the history of social history of death and mourning customs, and that'll be on Halloween. So again, on 2 o'clock on Saturday. So if you're interested in hearing more about some of our programming, in addition to these smaller things, we have some fun programs coming up that we hope you will join us with, join us at in the future. Yeah. So with that, let me see here. Let's just double check to see if anybody, again, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to hear them, but I'm guessing, yeah, not particularly. Cool. So I guess it's my responsibility to come up with a question here as the moderator sort of person. I guess one question, I don't know, maybe this is springing this on you. Do we know, how many people would have attended these schools over the years? Is this a large number or a small number of people?
Well,
what was the class size like? Do we know?
Or for instance, at the technical, at the business college, I think those are recorded at being, 20 to, perhaps even up to 100, some of the graduating pictures. So it was a fairly busy, fairly well-attended schools. And of course, the Technical Institute, that just really gradually increased more and more as manufacturing grew in the city. The need for people coming out of the technical and vocational schools. Of course, the vocational schools also included some business colleges. So what I said about the business school itself, was duplicated again in the vocational schools. The one thing I want to say about the Wausau Business School was that Mr. Widmer closed it down in 1943. We see that we see that story as well as with the normal school. The war took big hits on local education. So Mr. Widmer decided in 1943, in the midst of World War II, to close his business college. So a variety of ups and downs, I'm sure, but I think pretty much a steady enrollment through the years to feed the manufacturing and the commercial businesses that were really starting to take off in the city of Wasa.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. All right. Well, I think, we haven't had any live questions. Again, if you have any questions after the fact, we will do our best to address any lingering questions about education that we didn't talk about. Feel free to leave those. Otherwise, I think we'll maybe call that a day today. So again, thanks to everybody for joining us live or after the fact. We'll be back next week again at 12:30 on Thursday. So
thank you very much.